So thanks guys, my name is Harveen Narulla, I'm co-founder of GreenPost, and what GreenPost does is we're an aggregator of electronic bills. So I'll tell you a little bit more about that once we get into the presentation. But what I'm here to talk about really is about businesses being enablers of social change and consumers being drivers of social change. This is one of my all-time favorite quotations. And the only thing I'd add to it in today's context, where we see so much sharing of information going on, is that what technology has done for people is it's greatly increased the velocity at which they can connect, share information, better, and reach out to other groups of people who think the same or who share similar thoughts and organize around objectives. So we live in times of planetary emergency, and really our environmental situation is a little bit like this. It's a train wreck waiting to happen. And unfortunately, there is still no consensus, not just around what to do and how to fix it, but around the need to fix it. So these are truly extraordinary times that we live in. The onus that we thought would be on governments to fix the environmental situation sadly has not been taken up by governments, and I'm here to suggest that perhaps we don't need governments to take this up, and the key to that is stuff like this. Look at that circle over there, that oval. It shows, over 300 different platforms and tools that people use to pass information to one another. And that's really going to be the key to us fixing the planetary emergency. Now, this is a fairly recent development, this idea of people reaching out, finding out or connecting with others around the world that share similar thoughts around causes that they want to mobilize for, and then planning and executing action. In fact, the first that I remember of a Panglobal movement being organized using internet technology was the October 2002 anti-war protests against the Iraq war, and those happened within a matter of weeks. They were organized. Now since then we've had plenty of other movements that have almost spontaneously come together. The most recent ones are Occupy Wall Street, which has been going on now, it's in its second month. Before the Arab Spring, which started in January and February of this year. And before that, democracy in Iran, the Gaza flotilla issues, anti-Olympics protests in Vancouver and also in China. So what we're seeing is people are reaching out to other communities and coming together like never before. So these are just some snapshots of the protests. The first one was the London anti-war protest. The second one was Seattle, the WTO protest. The third one is to do with the Beijing Olympics. And this one is a most impressive picture, Tahrir Square in Egypt. So to use a meme that the older ones among us here might be familiar with, I think some of us may still remember Joe Cartoon. Now we, people on the planet, are really the frog in the blender. Now for those who are not so familiar with it, those who happily have youth on your side, Joe Cartoon was one of the early internet games that kept people entertained and delighted for hours. It was a flash game, and I hear some chuckles, so I'm heartened that there are other people my vintage here. So it was a flash game where you'd go and play with this frog in a blender, and he would dare you. He would goad you to press the buttons higher and higher that would spin him around, and you guessed it, right at the end of the game ends when the frog gets blended. So, I know, go figure. But hey, it was great fun, right? And there were lots more. And happily I've rediscovered Joe Cartoon, so now you know what I do on Saturday afternoons. So this is a game, right? But what we're seeing in the world today is a similar game of chicken. What we're seeing is developed countries and developing countries quite legitimately and quite reasonably have taken positions on what they can and cannot do with the environment, and each one is waiting for the other to go first. So the developing countries tell the developed countries, hey, you guys, burned your way through the environment's resources on your way to industrialization and development, and now it's our turn, and don't grudge us the right to pollute, or help us, and so you pay for it, which is fair. And developed countries say, hey, but you guys are polluting so much, the onus is on you to actually take some action, like now, and we'll help to the extent that we can, but start. And while they play this game of chicken, we see stuff like this happening, right? Deforestation happening, and this is where I want to focus the rest of my presentation. The idea of deforestation and what we can do, or some strategies to fix it. So this is a snapshot of the Amazon, and there you can see tilled fields, so fields cleared out from amidst the Amazon rainforest, massive, massive rainforest, for planting of soybean, right, which will later become biofuel or animal feed. Another screenshot, also a tilled field, another section of the Amazon. This one is from Malaysia, logging going on for paper production. And the last one is from Sumatra. Now the numbers are truly alarming. What we see is that Indonesia has lost a lot of its forest cover, and Sumatra is a case in point. So in the about 26, 27 years, from 1985 to 2008, we see Sumatra has lost almost 50% of its natural forest cover. Right? Indonesia as a whole has lost 50% of its cover since 1950. Just to compare, the annual loss is a land area 21 times the size of Singapore, which is really crazy when you think about it. Now, I'm not sure what's happened with the formatting, but the key drivers of forest degradation and destruction in Indonesia are palm oil and paper. And it's to address that problem, the forest destruction as a result of paper consumption, that my co-founder Anand and I came together to see whether we could actually make a dent in that. And really, the first question we ask ourselves is, can Singapore go paperless? And when you look at the numbers, they seem promising. So 50% of people actually transact online. They do internet banking. So they've crossed the high trust threshold requirement to actually buy stuff online and do transacting online. And 75%, these are figures from the IDA, the Infocom Development Authority of Singapore, 75% of people regularly access the internet in Singapore. But only 6 to 7% of people get e-bills. And when we dug deeper, we found that it's actually a system design issue. Because what getting e-bills means in the current model, that you have to go to multiple different biller websites, log on to check your bills, different days, different user IDs, different passwords, and it's a system that just doesn't work for people. And once we hit upon that, we understood why the conversion to paperless billing is so low. And that's the reason, right? It's really multiple login fatigue. People just don't want to do anything else that will add more hassle to their lives. So, in terms of what is needed, people really want everything in one place. They want their bills to come to them automatically. They'd like to get alerts and reminders. They want an easy summary that at a glance tells them what they need. If possible, they want to be able to pay their bills. And they want the system to archive their bills and hopefully help them track their spending as well. And very important, in the last couple of years, we've seen mobility play a big role in service provision. If it's free, it's even better. So here's the solution that we built. Everything comes into your mailbox, into your inbox. It's an online account that's accessible on the portal as well as on the GreenPost mobile apps. So everything without any intervention, once you set it up, it's like set and forget, comes into the one place. It's easy, it's secure, and it's free. And it gives you, all those things in that wish list I ran through earlier. And what we're doing now is we're introducing payment functionality as well. So currently those are the countries that we serve, so very much a regional story. And the reason we've been able to do it is we redesigned the system to work around the user's needs, instead of saying, hey, what do the billers want, right? So this is what the system looks like. These are some screenshots from an actual account. I think it's my account, yeah. So these are, yeah, don't go getting any ideas. So these are some screenshots. You can actually see your bill. You can see your spending analysis. It helps you monitor your spending, how much you're spending month to month, compared to the same time last year. And we've just won some awards for our apps, which we're really happy about. So in terms of will people use it, when we reached out to people, again using social media and connected with them, over 50% of people said the biggest driver for them to use internet services and get their bills online was convenience. So forget about billers throwing that extra iPad at you to say, hey, lucky draw, win an iPad if you go online. People aren't convinced by that. What they want is something that works for them. And when we built it and introduced it, what we found is that 3 out of 10 people, the first time they encounter our service, 30% of people sign up and create their accounts, which is an amazing conversion rate for internet-based services. So we're well on track for 400,000 users in Singapore by the end of 2012. And what I want to do is to walk you through the impact that that will have on the forest destruction problem. So if we're able to get 400,000 people in Singapore going electronic with their bills and statements, we save paper, and in another slide I'll show you about the water saving. So we save paper, so 400,000 people, assuming they get 4 bills monthly, 3 pages each, that's 144 pages, right? 4 times 3, 12 times 12 months, 144 pages. That's 57.6 million pages a year saved, which is about 6,900 30-year-old growth trees. That's 16.5 hectares every year, just by doing something that's more convenient than getting your bills in paper. And that's just for Singapore. That's about 1/11 of the user base we're targeting in 4 years. In terms of water savings, and it's a little known fact that paper production is extremely water intensive because water is used to bleach the pulp that goes into the paper production process. So again, that number of pages works out to roughly 288 tons. So 19,000 gallons are needed to process each ton of what will become paper. So if we can convert 400,000 people to paperless, to getting electronic bills, that's the amount of water we'll save. And it's a big number, so let's work it out in terms we can understand. That supplies the drinking water needs of over 24,000 people for a year. So what we're seeing now is that to leverage this kind of impact, we see a bigger and bigger trend of consumer power being exerted, of people working with businesses to solve real problems, and of business model innovation. So we didn't go to the billers and say, how can we work out another lucky draw program for you? We didn't do that. Well, like real, right? What we did instead was we said, hey guys, maybe you're right. Maybe you can't solve this problem yourself. Maybe what we need to do is to reset the dial and think in terms of we and not me, right? Maybe all of us need to work together, get all the billers together, work with one central operator like us or perhaps somebody else if they prefer, and everybody put the bills in one place, and that gives people like you and me the convenience to convert to paperless billing. So what I want to suggest to you is that businesses are key innovators. Businesses increasingly are learning to listen to consumers. Responsibility, the idea of responsibility is catching on. More and more young people are not willing to defer the meaningful part of their life to later on. They want their daily work to be meaningful. A lot of you here, I'm sure, will go out and make work or career decisions that satisfy you on an emotional and spiritual level, not just to pull in the money. Right? So responsibility is catching on. People are making decisions to do the right thing in their daily work. And people as consumers are demanding change and exerting influence. And the reason why all this is now becoming possible, a lot of these threads are coming together, is that the velocity with which information goes around has increased tremendously in the last 2 years. Right? It's a trend that started about 5-6 years ago, but in the last 2 years, what we're seeing is that if you delight people, or if you annoy people, they will tell their friends about it. So the goal for us is to adjust down to level 1 or 2 instead of 7 or 8 button on that cartoon, right? Where we want to pull back the environmental crisis to a point where it is manageable. Because let's not make any bones about it. Our generation is the last one where if we choose to do something to fix the problems that the environment is facing, ours is the last one where we'll be able to make an impact. If we don't do it, by the time our kids come along, my 7-year-old and 4-year-old, by the time they are my age, and assuming we carry on with business as usual, nothing's going to be fixable. So if anything's going to be fixed, it has to be fixed in the next few years. And all of us have a role to play, but I'm not guilt-tripping you. All I'm saying is that, hey, it fits with your natural behavior. If something delights you or if something pisses you off, you're going to tell your friends about it. And that's what we want you to do. Tell the billers you want to go paperless with the bills. Use a solution that's convenient for you, not just in this area of your life, but other areas of your life, and take ownership of your planet. Now, I want to leave you with this meme. I think a lot of us remember David after that. And the reason I bring this up is to show you this: 102 million views, right? And that's the power of delighting people, right? Making people happy, giving them something that works for them, whether it's to lift their mood for an afternoon or to make a core process in their life, checking their bills, simpler. Thank you very much.